Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Welcome back to our Kartik reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Thanks all of you who have joined us in the in-house studio, and for those of you from around the world who've tuned in on the internet, we feel your presence and we're very happy to be connected with you.
Especially nice to welcome everyone from the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada Books fan page. Thanks for transferring over to this ecstatic experience in Govardhan, and I hope you would more than enjoy. And don't forget, caring means sharing, and sharing means caring. So share this with as many people as possible and give them this delightful, unique experience of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam read by Vaisesika Prabhu here in the Holy Dham. And it's an auspicious time, Kartik. Really? You made some Iranian devotees? You're importing it, eh?
Okay.
But before we begin reading, we're going to hear, as I do every day when I read Srimad Bhagavatam, the Srimad Bhagavata Mahima Stotram, which is Srila Sanatana Goswami's glorification, deep, ecstatic, realized glorification of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's found in the Sri Krishna Leela Stava, verses 412 through 416, and it goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdipi Yusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kali Dvandurita Ditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Padaya Premavarshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvaseyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangi Madguro Man Mahadana Manishtadaka Madbhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhadayin atini chochatakara hanamunchakadachinmam premnarit katayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we've reached the 14th chapter of the 5th canto. We're hearing Jad Bharat further elaborate on the forest of material enjoyment, explaining in detail all the analogies he made to Maharaja Rahugana, beginning with text 41. When the conditioned soul accepts the shelter of the creeper of fruitive activity, he may be elevated by his pious activities to higher planetary systems, and thus gain liberation from hellish conditions. But unfortunately, he cannot remain there. After reaping the results of his pious activities, he has to return to the lower planetary systems. In this way, he perpetually goes up and comes down. Purport. In this regard, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Brahmande Brahmite kon bhagyaman jeev, Guru Krishna prasadi poi bhakti lata bij. Even if one wanders for many millions of years, from the time of creation until the time of annihilation, one cannot get free from the path of material existence unless one receives the shelter at the lotus feet of a pure devotee. As a monkey takes shelter of the branch of a banyan tree and thinks he is enjoying, the conditioned soul, not knowing the real interest of his life, takes shelter of the path of karmakanda, fruitive activities. Sometimes he is elevated to the heavenly planets by such activities, and sometimes he again descends to earth. This is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Brahmanda Brahmite. However, if by Krishna's grace one is fortunate enough to come under the shelter of the Guru, by the mercy of Krishna, he receives lessons on how to execute devotional service to the Supreme Lord. In this way, he receives a clue of how to get out of his continuous struggle up and down within the material world. Therefore, the Vedic injunction is that one should approach a spiritual master. The Vedas declare, Tad Vijnanartam Sugudum Eva Bhagachet. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita 4:34, the Supreme Personality of Godhead advises, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upatekshanti jnanam jnaninas tatpadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.3.21 gives similar advice. Tasmat garum prapadyeta jigyasu shreya utamam shabde pare sanishnatam ramanyu kushamashrayam. Any person who seriously desires to achieve real happiness must seek out a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. Qualification of his spiritual master is that he must be the qualification of his spiritual master is that he must have realized the conclusion of the scriptures by deliberation and be able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material considerations, are to be understood as bona fide spiritual masters. Similarly, Vishwanath Chakrabarti, a great Vaishnava, also advises, Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadaha. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the mercy of Krishna. This is the same advice given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Guru Krishna prasadi poya bhakti lata bij. This is essential. One must come to Krishna consciousness, and therefore one must take shelter of a pure devotee. Thus one can become free from the clutches of matter. Text 42. Having summarized the teachings of Jad Bharat, Shukadev Goswami said, My dear King Parikshit, the path indicated by Jad Bharat is like the path followed by Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, and ordinary kings are just like flies. Flies cannot follow the path of Garuda, and to date None of the great kings and victorious leaders could follow this path of devotional service, not even mentally. Purport. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yadidi siddhaye yatatam abhisiddhanam kaschin mam viti tatvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. The path of devotional service is very difficult, even for great kings who have conquered many enemies. Although these kings were victorious on the battlefield, they could not conquer the bodily conception. There are many big leaders, yogis, swamis, and so-called incarnations who are very much addicted to mental speculation and who advertise themselves as perfect personalities, but they are not ultimately successful. The path of devotional service is undoubtedly very difficult to follow, but it becomes very easy if the candidate actually wants to follow the path of the Mahajan. In this age there is the path of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared to deliver all fallen souls. This path is so simple and easy that everyone can take to it by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatiranyata. We are very satisfied that this path is being opened by this Krishna consciousness movement, because so many European and American boys and girls are taking this philosophy seriously and gradually attaining perfection. Text 43. While in the prime of life, the great Maharaja Bharati gave up everything because he was so fond of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uttama Shloka. He gave up his beautiful wife, nice children, great friends, and an enormous empire. Although these things were very difficult to give up, Maharaja Bharati was so exalted that he gave them up just as one gives up stool after evacuating. Such was the greatness of His Majesty. Purport. The name of God is Krishna because He is so attractive that for His sake the pure devotee can give up anything within this material world, even if very, very dear. He possessed all the opulences of the material world. But Krishna is so attractive. I missed a sentence? How could I have missed a sentence? But I did. And I wish it was true. May your words
give us a little service.
May your words come true. Just hog on the show. Maharaj Bharata was an ideal king, instructor, and emperor of the world. He possessed all the opulences of the material world, but Krishna is so attractive that he attracted Maharaj Bharata from all his material possessions. Yet somehow or other, the king became affectionate to a little deer and, falling from his position, had to accept the body of a deer in his next life. Due to Krishna's great mercy upon him, he could not forget his position, and he could understand how he had fallen. Therefore, in the next life, as Jad Bharat, Maharaj Bharat was careful not to spoil his energy, and therefore he presented himself as a deaf and dumb person. In this way, he could concentrate on his devotional service. We have to learn from the great King Bharat how to become cautious in cultivating Krishna consciousness. A little inattention will retard our devotional service for the time being. Yet any service rendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is never lost. Salpamapya siddharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. A little devotional service rendered sincerely is a permanent asset. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaktva siddharmam charanam bhujam harer bhajanna pakvo patatet tato yadi yatra kvabhadramamut amushyakim Kovarta apto bhajatam sudharmataha. Somehow or other, if one is attracted to Krishna, whatever he does in devotional service is a permanent asset. Even if one falls down due to immaturity or bad association, his devotional assets are never lost. There are many examples of this, the Jamil, Maharaja Bharati, and many others. This Krishna consciousness movement is giving everyone a chance to engage in devotional service for at least some time. A little service will give one an impetus to advance and thus make one's life successful. In this verse, the Lord is described as Uttama Shloka. Uttama means the best, and Shloka means reputation. Oh, Shloka means reputation. Nice. Lord Krishna is full in 6 opulences, one of which is reputation. Aishwarasya samagrasya viryasya yashayak triyaha. Krishna's reputation is still expanding. We are spreading the glories of Krishna by pushing forward this Krishna consciousness movement. Krishna's reputation, 5,000 years after the Battle of Kurukshetra, is still expanding throughout the world. Every important individual within this world must have heard of Krishna, especially at the present moment, due to the Krishna consciousness movement. Even people who do not like us and want to suppress the movement are also somehow or other chanting Hare Krishna. They say the Hare Krishna people should be chastised. Such foolish people do not realize the true value of this movement, but the mere fact that they want to criticize it gives them a chance to chant Hare Krishna. And this is its success. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Text 44. Shukadev Goswami continued, My dear king, the activities of Bharat Maharaj are wonderful. He gave up everything difficult for others to give up. He gave up his kingdom, his wife, and his family. His opulence was so great that even the demigods envied it, and yet he gave it up. It was quite befitting a great personality like him to be a great devotee. He could renounce everything because he was so attracted to the beauty, opulence, reputation, knowledge, strength, and renunciation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Krishna is so attractive that one can give up all desirable things for his sake. Indeed, even liberation is considered insignificant for those whose minds are attracted to the loving service of the Lord. Purport. This verse confirms Krishna's all-attractiveness. Maharaja Bharati was so attracted to Krishna that he gave up all his material possessions. Generally, materialistic people are attracted by such possessions. Ato griha kshetra sutapta bhitayar janasya moho yamaham mameti. One becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and thinks in terms of I and mine. The attraction for material things is certainly due to illusion. There is no value in attraction to material things, for the conditioned soul is diverted by them. One's life is successful if he is absorbed in the attraction of Krishna's strength, beauty, and pastimes, as described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The Mayavadis are attracted to merging into the existence of the Lord, but Krishna is more attractive than the desire to merge. The word avabat means not to take birth again in this material world. A devotee doesn't care whether he is going to be reborn or not. He is simply satisfied with the Lord's service in any condition. That is real mukti. Ihayasya harir dasye karmana manasat gira nihilasvapyabastasu jivan mukta sa uchyate. One who acts to serve Krishna with his body, mind, intelligence, and words is a liberated person even within this material world. A person who always desires to serve Krishna is interested in ways to convince people that there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. That is his ambition. It doesn't matter whether he is in heaven or in hell. This is called Uttama Shloka Lalasa. Uttama Shloka Lalasa. Now that's a nice... Oh, I thought you were going to write it down. Steal it.
You can steal it, I already got it.
Oh, I see.
It's too late.
I see.
It's so fast.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
See the flag?
Done deal.
40. Oh, it's still you.
Ah, now we're seeing real figures. Okay, text 45. Even though in the body of a deer, Maharaj Bharati did not forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, when he was giving up the body of a deer, he loudly uttered the following prayer. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is sacrifice personified. He gives the results of ritualistic activity. He is the protector of religious systems, the personification of mystic yoga, the source of all knowledge, the controller of the entire creation, and the supersoul in every living entity. He is beautiful and attractive. I am quitting this body, offering obeisances unto him, and hoping that I may perpetually engage in his transcendental loving service. Quite an intelligent deer, I say. Uttering this, Maharaj Bharati left his body. Purport. The entire Vedas are meant for the understanding of karma, jnana, and yoga, fruitive activity, speculative knowledge, and mystic yoga. Whatever way of spiritual realization we accept, the ultimate goal is Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The living entities are eternally connected with him via devotional service. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Ante Narayana Smriti, the perfection of life is to remember Narayana at the time of death. Although Bharat Maharaj had to accept the body of a deer, he could remember Narayana at the time of death. Consequently, he took birth as a perfect devotee in a Brahmana family. This confirms the statement of Bhagavad Gita, Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Brashto Pijayate. One who falls from the path of self-realization takes birth in a family of Brahmanas or wealthy aristocrats. Although Maharaj Bharati appeared in the royal family, he became neglectful and took birth as a deer. Because he was very cautious within his deer body, he took birth in a Brahmana family as Jad Bharat. During this lifetime, he remained perfectly Krishna conscious and preached the gospel of Krishna consciousness directly, beginning with his instructions to Maharaj Rahugana. In this regard, the word yogaya is very significant. The purpose of Ashtanga Yoga, as stated by Madhvacharya, is to link or connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The goal is not to display some material perfections.
Text number 46. Devotees interested in hearing and chanting, Shravanam Kirtanam, regularly discuss the pure characteristics of Bharat Maharaj and praise his activities. If one submissively hears and chants about the all-auspicious Maharaj Bharata, one's lifespan and material opulences certainly increase. One can become very famous and easily attain promotion to the heavenly planets, or attain liberation by merging into the existence of the Lord. Whatever one desires can be attained simply by hearing, chanting, and glorifying the activities of Maharaja Bharati. In this way, one can fulfill all his material and spiritual desires. One does not have to ask anyone else for these things, for simply by studying the life of Maharaja Bharati, one can attain all desirable things. Purport: the forest of material existence is summarized in this 14th chapter. The word Vavatari refers to the path of material existence. The merchant is the living entity who comes to the forest of material existence to try to make money for sense gratification. The 6 plunderers are the senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, touch, and mind. The bad leader is diverted intelligence. Intelligence is meant for Krishna consciousness, but due to material existence, we divert all our intelligence to achieve material facilities. Everything belongs to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but due to our perverted mind and senses, we plunder the property of the Lord and engage in satisfying our senses. The jackals and tigers in the forest are our family members, and the herbs and creepers are our material desires. The mountain cave is our happy home, and the mosquitoes and serpents are our enemies. The rats, beasts, and vultures are different types of thieves who take away our possessions, and the Gandharvapura is the phantasmagoria of the body and home. The will-o'-the-wisp is our attraction for gold and its color, and material residence and wealth are the ingredients for our material enjoyment. The whirlwind is our attraction for our wife, and the dust storm is our blinding passion experienced during sex. The demigods control the different directions, and the cricket is the harsh words spoken by our enemy.
Cricket's noises?
And the cricket is the harsh words spoken.
Noises are the harsh words.
And the cricket noises.
Crickets.
And the cricket.
Crickets.
And the cricket noises.
Crickets noises.
And the cricket's noises
Got it.
are the harsh words spoken by our enemy during our absence. The owl is the person who directly insults us, and the impious trees are impious men. The waterless rivers represent atheists who give us trouble in this world and the next. The meat-eating demons are the government officials, and the pricking thorns are the impediments of material life. The little taste experienced in sex is our desire to enjoy another's wife.
There's something was missing.
The little taste experienced in sex is our desire. Something else?
Yeah, the meat-eating demons are the government officials.
The meat-eating demons are the government officials.
The many ritualistic duties.
The many ritualistic duties of householder life
constitute a tall hill.
Tall hill one must cross.
And the pricking thorns.
And the pricking thorns are the impediments of material life. On that hill are the impediments of material life. The little taste experienced in sex.
It's a python.
Sleep is a python.
All that is missing?
Yeah, it's all missing, and it's there. It was there. This is one of the things that was taken out and Jayadvaita Maharaj put back in. For the little taste experienced during sex, one desires to enjoy another's wife, and then, like the one who goes to take honey from a beehive and is attacked by the bees, he is chastised by the woman's guardians, like the husband, father-in-law, mother-in-law, and so forth.
The creeper itself is women in general. The lion is the wheel of time, and the herons, crows, and vultures are the so-called demigods, pseudo-swamis, yogis, and incarnations. All of these are too insignificant to give one relief. The swans are the perfect brahmanas, and the monkeys
who are all too insignificant to save one from the lion's attack.
All these are too insignificant to save one from the lion's attack. The swans are the perfect brahmanas, and the monkeys are the extravagant shudras engaged in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. The trees of the monkeys are our households, and the elephant is ultimate death. Thus, all the constituents of material existence are described in this chapter. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 14th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Material World as the Great Forest of Enjoyment. Bravo! Bravissimo! Sadhu, sadhu. Chapter 15, the glories of the descendants of King Priyavrata. Srila Shukadeva Goswami continued, the son of Maharaja Bharati, known as Sumati, followed the path of Rishabhadeva, but some unscrupulous people imagined him to be Lord Buddha himself.
But in the age of Kali,
some unscrupulous people imagined him to be Lord Buddha himself. These people, who were actually atheistic and of bad character, took up the Vedic principles in an imaginary, infamous way.
Future. This was done also. It's done.
Here, just turn it this way, eh?
The whole thing is in future tense. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I can see from here.
Start from here.
The son of Maharaja Bharat, known as Sumati, followed the path of Rishabhadeva, but in the age of Kali, some unscrupulous people will imagine him to be Lord Buddha himself. These people, who will actually be atheistic and of bad character, will interpret the Vedic principles in an imaginary, infamous way to support their activities. Thus, these sinful people will accept Sumati as Lord Buddhadev and propagate the theory that everyone should follow the principles of Sumati. In this way, they will be carried away by mental concoction. Purport. Those who are Aryans strictly follow the Vedic principles, but in this age of Kali, a community has sprung up known as Arya Samaj, which is ignorant of the import of the Vedas.
Whose members are ignorant.
Oh, crap. Here. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you can say so.
But you don't want to change a word. I feel like a highway robber. Am I a highway robber?
Go ahead on.
Those who are Aryans strictly follow the Vedic principles, but in this age of Kali, a community has sprung up known as the Arya Samaj, whose members are ignorant of the import of the Vedas and the Parampara system. They decry all bona fide acharyas and pose themselves as the real followers of the Vedic principles. But in fact, such non-Aryans do not follow the Vedic principles. Another group of non-Aryans are the Jains, who are referred to in the present verse. Not only do they not follow the Vedic principles, but they have no relationship with Lord Buddha, though they claim to. Imitating the behavior of Sumati, they also claim to be the descendants of Rishabhadev. Those who are Vaishnavas carefully avoid their company because they are ignorant of the path of the Vedas. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vedaischa sarvar aham eva vidya. The real purpose of the Vedas is to understand me. This is the injunction of all Vedic literatures. One who does not know the greatness of Lord Krishna cannot accept as an Aryan, be accepted as an Aryan. Lord Buddha, an incarnation of Lord Krishna, adopted a particular means to propagate the philosophy of Bhagavad Dharma. He preached almost exclusively among atheists. Atheists do not want any God, and Lord Buddha therefore said that there is no God, but he adopted the means to instruct his followers for their benefit. Therefore he preached in a duplicitous way, saying that there is no God. Nonetheless, he himself was an incarnation of God.
Text 3. From Sumati, a son named Devajit was born by the womb of his wife named Vridasena. 4. Thereafter, in the womb of Asuri, the wife of That's 3. 3. Thereafter, in the womb of Asuri, the wife of Devatajit, a son named Devadjumna was born. Devadjumna begot in the womb of his wife Dhenumati, a son named Parameshti. Parameshti begot a son named Pratiha in the womb of his wife Suvarchala. 4. King Pratiha personally propagated the principles of self-realization. In this way, not only was he purified, but he became a great devotee of the Supreme Person, Lord Vishnu, and directly realized him. Purport. The word anusasmara is very significant. God consciousness is not imaginary or concocted. The devotee who is pure and advanced realizes God as he is. Maharaja Pratiha did so, and due to his direct realization of Lord Vishnu, he propagated self-realization and became a preacher. A real preacher cannot be bogus. He must first of all realize Lord Vishnu as he is. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4:34, Upadakshantite jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. One who has seen the truth can impart knowledge. The word tattvadarshi refers to one who has perfectly realized the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a person can become a guru and propound Vaishnava philosophy all over the world. The paragon of bona fide preachers and guru is King Pratiha. 5. In the womb of his wife Suvarchala, Pratiha begot 3 sons, named Pratiharta, Prastota, Udgata. These 3 sons were very expert in performing Vedic rituals. Pratiharta begot 2 sons named Aja and Bhuma in the womb of his wife named Stuti.
In the womb of his wife, Rishikulya, King Bhuma begot a son named Udgita. From Udgita's wife, Devakulya, a son named Prastava was born, and Prastava begot a son named Vibhu through his wife Niyutsa. In the womb of his wife Rati, Vibhu begot a son named Pritusena. Pritusena begot a son named Nakta in the womb of his wife named Akuti. Nakta's wife was Druti, and from her womb the great king Gaya was born. Gaya was very famous and pious. He was the best of saintly kings. Lord Vishnu and his expansions, who were meant to protect the universe, are always situated in the transcendental mode of goodness, known as Vishuddha Sattva. Being the direct expansion of Lord Vishnu, King Gaya was also situated in the Vishuddha Sattva. Because of this, Maharaja Gaya was fully equipped with transcendental knowledge. Therefore, he was called Mahapurusha. Purport. From this verse it appears that the incarnations of God are various. Some are part and parcel of the direct expansions, and some are direct expansions of Lord Vishnu. A direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Anksha or Swangsha, whereas an incarnation from Anksha is called Kala. Among the Kalas, there are the Vibhinangsha jivas or living entities. These are counted among the Jiva Tattvas. Those who come directly from Lord Vishnu are called Vishnu Tattva and are sometimes designated as Mahapurusha. Another name for Krishna is Mahapurusha, and a devotee is sometimes called Mahaparushika. Text 7. King Gaya gave full protection and security to the citizens so that their personal property would not be disturbed by undesirable elements. He also saw that there was sufficient food to feed all the citizens. This is called Poshana. He would sometimes distribute gifts to the citizens to satisfy them. This is called prinana. He would sometimes call meetings and satisfy the citizens with sweet words. This is called upalalana. He would also give them good instructions on how to become first-class citizens. This is called anushasana. Such were the characteristics of King Gaya's royal order. Besides all this, King Gaya was a householder who strictly observed the rules and regulations of household life. He performed sacrifices and was an unalloyed pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was called Mahapurusha because as a king, he gave the citizens all facilities, and as a householder, he executed all his duties so that at the end, he became a strict devotee of the Supreme Lord. As a devotee, he was always ready to give respect to other devotees and to engage in the devotional service of the Lord. This is the Bhakti Yoga process. Due to all these transcendental activities, King Gaya was always free from the bodily conception. He was full in Brahman realization, and consequently he was always jubilant. He did not experience material lamentation. Although he was perfect in all respects, he was not proud, nor was he anxious to rule the kingdom. I mean, how's that for a description of a leader? I mean, that's it, right there. Purport. As Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, when he descends to earth, he has two types of business: to give protection to the faithful and annihilate the demons. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam. Since the king is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is sometimes called Naradeva, that is, the Lord as a human being. According to the Vedic conjunctions, he is worshipped as God on the material platform. As a representative of the Supreme Lord, the king had the duty to protect the citizens in a perfect way, so that they would not be anxious for food and protection, and so that they would be jubilant. The king would supply everything for their benefit, and because of this, he would levy taxes. If the king or government otherwise levies taxes, if the king or government otherwise levies taxes on the citizens, he becomes responsible for the sinful activities of the citizens. In Kali Yuga, monarchy is abolished because the kings themselves are subjected to the influence of Kali Yuga. It is understood from the Ramayana that when Vibhishana became friends with Lord Ramachandra, he promised that if by chance or will he broke the laws of friendship with Lord Ramachandra, he would become a Brahmana or a king in Kali Yuga. In this age, as Vibhishana indicated, both Brahmanas and kings are in a wretched condition. Actually, there are no kings or Brahmanas in this age. And due to their absence, the whole world is in a chaotic condition and is always in distress. Compared to the present standards, Maharaja Gaya was a true representative of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, he was known as Mahapurusha. King Gaya ki Jai. Text 8. My dear King Parikshit, those who are learned scholars in the histories of the Puranas eulogize and glorify King Gaya with the following words. Purport. The historical references to exalted kings serve as a good example for present rulers. Those who are ruling the world at the present moment should take lessons from King Gaya, King Yudhishthir, and King Prithu, and rule the citizens so that they will be happy. Presently, the governments are levying taxes without improving the citizens in any cultural, religious, social, or political way. According to the Vedas, this is not recommended. Is there a period after happy in the book? Is there a period after happy in that purport?
If there's a period after happy, clap your hands.
There's no period after happy, it's a comma?
There's a period after happy, clap your hands.
Full stop.
Full stop, and then the next one, the next
Yes,
word
it-
without capital.
That's right. So that's a mistake. So, Matt, make a note. You're the scribe here. Either you or Swami Prasa is the scribe. In this purport, there's supposed to be a period after happy, and presently is capitalized. This is a mistake in the database due to the transfer of from one program to another.
Yeah, I see it right there.
You see it?
Comma, there's
Yeah.
no period.
Yeah. You got that?
And there's no capital on the
There's
P.
no capital to P.
Shami Price has got it.
Okay. But
He's
in
jumping
his,
into it.
did you say in his?
Yes, a
Full stop, that's right.
And
That
space.
means that it's when the database is transferred over to the folio from the word, the final word, then things get like that. Sometimes it reads a period as a comma and this and that and the other thing.
That's why you're supposed to memorize the whole thing rather than...
Yeah, it's
Roti Rasi Dasi claps hands. Claps hands.
Oh, that's good.
Nice going, Rasi. I couldn't get it all.
Roti Rasa.
Rati Rasa.
Rati Russ is clapping hands.
Nice going.
Very encouraging.
Text 9. The great King Gaya used to perform all kinds of Vedic rituals. He was highly intelligent and expert in studying all the Vedic literatures. He maintained the religious principles and possessed all kinds of opulence. He was a leader among gentlemen and a servant of the devotees. He was a totally qualified plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, who could equal him in the performance of gigantic ritualistic ceremonies? Text 10. All the chaste and honest daughters of Maharaj Daksha, such as Shraddha, Maitri, and Daya, whose blessings were always effective, bathed Maharaj Gaya with sanctified water. Indeed, they were very satisfied with Maharaj Gaya. The planet Earth personified came as a cow, and as though she saw her calf, she delivered milk profusely when she saw all the good qualities of Maharaj Gaya. In other words, Maharaj Gaya was able to derive all benefits from the earth and thus satisfy the desires of his citizens. However, he personally had no desire. Purport. The earth over which Maharaj Gaya ruled is compared to a cow. The good qualities whereby he maintained and ruled the citizens are compared to the calf. A cow delivers milk in the presence of her calf. Similarly, the cow, or earth, fulfilled the desires of Maharaj Gaya, who was able to utilize all the resources of the earth to benefit his citizens. This was possible because he was bathed in sanctified water by the honest daughters of Daksha. Unless a king or ruler is blessed by authorities, he cannot rule the citizens very satisfactorily. Through the good qualities of the ruler, the citizens become very happy and well qualified.
Text 11.
Later, I'll fix up here. Size will be fine later.
Thank you. Although King Gaya had no personal desire for sense gratification, all his desires were fulfilled by virtue of his performance of Vedic rituals. All the kings with whom Maharaj Gaya had to fight were forced to fight on religious principles. They were very satisfied with his fighting, and they would present all kinds of gifts to him. Similarly, all the brahmanas in his kingdom were very satisfied with King Gaya's munificent charities. Consequently, the brahmanas contributed a sixth of their pious activities for King Gaya's benefit in the next life. Report. As a Kshatriya or emperor, Maharaja Gaya sometimes had to fight with subordinate kings to maintain his government. But the subordinate kings were not dissatisfied with him because they knew that he fought for religious principles. Consequently, they accepted their subordination and offered all kinds of gifts to him. Similarly, the Brahmanas who performed Vedic rituals were so satisfied with the king that they very readily agreed to take part with a sixth of their pious activities. Similarly, the Brahmanas who performed Vedic rituals were so satisfied with the king that they very readily agreed to part with a sixth of their pious activities for his benefit in the next life. Thus the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas were all satisfied with Maharaja Gaya because of his proper administration. In other words, Maharaja Gaya satisfied the Kshatriya kings by his fighting and satisfied the Brahmanas by his charities. The Vaishyas were also encouraged by kind words and affectionate dealings, and due to Maharaja Gaya's constant sacrifices, the Shudras were satisfied by sumptuous food and charity. In this way, Maharaja Gaya kept all the citizens very satisfied. When Brahmanas and saintly persons are honored, they part with their pious activities, giving them to those who honor them and render them service. Therefore, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 4:34, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya, one should try to approach a spiritual master submissively and render service unto him. Text number 12. In Maharaja Gaya's sacrifices, there was a great supply of the intoxicant known as soma. King Indra used to come and become intoxicated by drinking large quantities of soma ras. Also, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the Yajna Purusha, also came and personally accepted all the sacrifices offered unto him with pure and firm devotion in the sacrificial arena. Purport: Maharaj Gaya was so perfect that he satisfied all the demigods who were headed by the heavenly King Indra. Lord Vishnu himself also personally came to the sacrificial arena to accept the offerings. Although Maharaj Gaya did not want them, he received all the blessings of the demigods and the Supreme Lord himself. When the Supreme Lord is pleased by a person's actions, automatically all the demigods, human beings, animals, birds, bees, creepers, trees, grass, and all other living entities, beginning with Lord Brahma, are pleased. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the supersoul of everyone, and he is by nature fully pleased. Nonetheless, he came to the arena of Maharaj Gaya and said, I am fully pleased. Purport: it is explicitly stated herein that simply by satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one satisfies the demigods and all other living entities without differentiation. If one pours water on the root of a tree, all the branches, twigs, flowers, and leaves are nourished. Although the Supreme Lord is self-satisfied, he was so pleased with the behavior of Maharaj Gaya that he personally came to the sacrificial arena and said, I am fully satisfied. Who can compare to Maharaj Gaya? I am fully satisfied. Trees.
It's one way to find
Yagana
out
Preta Sadhya Vishwajiva. Prita, although personally Pritam. Doesn't have the quote there. Text number 15. In the womb of Gayanti, Maharaj Gaya begot 3 sons named Chitraratra, Sugati, and Avarodhana. In the womb of his wife Urana, Chitraratra begot a son named Samrat. The wife of Samrat was Utkala, and in her womb Samrat begot a son named Arichi. In the womb of his wife Bindumati, Marichi begot a son named Bindu. In the womb of his wife Saraga, Bindu begot a son named Madhu. In the womb of his wife named Sumana, Madhu begot a son named Viravrata. In the womb of his wife Boja, Viravrata begot two sons named Mantu and Pramantu. In the womb of his wife Satya, Mantu begot a son named Bhavana, and in the womb of his wife Dushana, Bhavana begot a son named Twashta. In the womb of his wife Virochana, Twashta begot a son named Viraja. The wife of Viraja was Vishuchi, and in the womb of Viraja, and in her womb Viraja begot 100 sons and one daughter. Of all these sons, the son named Shatrajit was predominant. Shatajit was predominant.
Text 16. There is a famous verse about King Viraja. Because of his high qualities and wide fame, King Viraja became the jewel of the dynasty of King Priyavrata, just as Lord Vishnu, by his transcendental potency, decorates and blesses the demigods. Purport. Within a garden, a flowering tree attains a good reputation because of its fragrant flowers. Similarly, if there is a famous man in a family, he is compared to a fragrant flower in a forest. Because of him, an entire family can become famous in history. Because Lord Krishna took birth in the Yadu dynasty and the Yadavas have remained famous for all time. Because of King Viraja's appearance, the family of Maharaja Priyavrata has remained famous for all time. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 15th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the glories of the descendants of King Priyavrata.
We'll take a few reflections. Yes.
I just always love that verse that says that Maharaj Bharati was so exalted that he gave up an amazingly large kingdom with children, just like one gives up stool after passing it. It's powerful.
Dr. Matt,
I have a question.
by the way, you look marvelous.
Thank you.
Fine.
I worked hard on my T-lock this morning. I'm confused about 1/6 of the pious activities. Like, how is spiritual benefit like, like an iCloud account where you have a certain amount of space, and how do they come up with the fraction 1/6?
It's an estimation. Just like the spiritual world is said to be 1/4 the size of the spiritual world, material world. It's a quarter of the size of the
Material world is 1/4 size.
material world, 1/4 size of the spiritual world. This is just to give an idea that one is vastly larger and the other one is smaller. But in any case, the basic principle is that when you take responsibility for somebody, that you enter into a psychic and a very subtly binding relationship, which includes sharing the good and bad of their life. And there's an accountability that's there also. If you're an NFL coach and you start losing every season, they're going to fire you. And there's a way in which, in any relationship where you're taking responsibility and you're getting paid for it, you gotta be responsible, take care of it. Otherwise, there's some kind of a transfer.
Like the skin in the game kind of thing.
Skin in the game, yeah, definitely skin in the game.
Thank you.
Right behind you.
I like the comparison with Garuda and the fly. One may be a very great personality in this world, but if one does not come to the right conclusion, one remains a fly. I like this comparison very much.
Very good. Was it like those Maya Pritikanas, big scholar, Prabhupada used to use this phrase, big monkey, big belly, Loka jumping, melancholy. Salem jumping melancholy means the big monkey, and then he's thinking, I can't jump to Lanka, like Hanuman did. And the big scholars, they have this, they have so much knowledge and prestige and everything like that. In conclusion, they're no better than a fly.
I got one. The thing that stuck out in my mind was the description of King Gaya. And, I mean, there was lots of things about King Gaya, the way he satisfied his citizens. You know? His in other words, the measure of the success of a leader is how well he satisfies his citizens. And then right at the end of the verse it says, and he didn't care whether he was satisfied or not. And now, present day leaders, whether they're satisfied. And everybody got to vote for them, and all they say is, I will satisfy if you vote for me. And now you can see fewer and fewer, people are satisfied of the inequality all through the stratums of society are so vast that such a large percentage is dissatisfied. How can anybody, be a leader and think that they're doing their job? It's just beyond me. Therefore, we need to distribute this Bhagavatam, big time.
What's the matter?
It's one person said no voice. Only one person said it, and I'm just waiting to see. I asked if it's better now, so I'm waiting for a response.
Okay. Can you hear us out there?
I thought it was very interesting that the Bibhishan said that, his war with Lord Ramachandra, he will be taking birth as a king in Kali Yuga, is to illustrate how in Kali Yuga. Huh? Or a Brahmana, yeah. So that the situation in Kali Yuga is such that the Brahmanas and the rulers, the kings, are in a wretched condition. Is a symptom, another symptom for Kali Yuga.
Not very good. Okay, what else? Yes, Madhva.
Again, we heard about the boons which we get just by listening or studying, like Bharata Maharajas, and this again and again coming in our literature, which means that if we master what we do here, all spiritual, material perfections will be just achieved. So this is like always extremely nice topic for meditation and very inspirational.
Yeah, business. You were very good. Benefits based on protocol.
I found the 12th verse very interesting, how the Lord would appear himself to accept the yagya offerings. And of course, Indra would come along as well and have a drink of Soma. But the yagya Purush would actually appear in the yagya.
I like how he came and would bring, although everyone knew he was satisfied, he was so satisfied that the person came and said, I'm very satisfied. I like also the idea of giving away pious credits. This is mentioned that great personalities, they give away their whatever pious credits they have to their subordinates. And it goes to the paradigm in the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. They distributed love of Godhead, but the stock didn't decrease. It increased. The more they gave it out, the more it increased. Similar way, but devotees are givers. The more they give out, the more their stock increases. So it's a phenomena unique to spiritual giving, is the more you give, the more it grows in your life. And that brings us to the Gayatri break. We're continuing with our reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 16. We're now on text number 1.
What's
King-
the name of the chapter?
No one knows, because you can't read it on the database.
Description of Jagannatha.
Yeah, but I wouldn't know that. Would you?
Yeah.
Where?
Just go up here. Scripture. Just go up. Really?
That's inconvenient.
That's inconvenient.
Description of
Go up,
Jambudvip.
go up. Oh no, I go the opposite way. You go up. The way, wherever way you go up. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Description of Jambudvip. King Parikshit said to Shukadev Goswami, O Brahmana, you have already informed me that the radius of Bhumandala extends as far as the sun spreads its light and heat, and as far as the moon and all the stars can be seen. See, by association, I'm becoming like a little Kesava Bharati.
Oh,
Same computer, same text.
I became like, I'm a little still, but I'm more like you when I'm sitting next to you.
Purport. In this verse, it is stated that the planetary system known as Bhumandala extends to the limits of the sunshine. According to modern science, the sunshine reaches Earth from a distance of 93 million miles. If we calculate according to this modern information, 93 million miles can be considered the radius of Bhumandala. In the Gayatri Mantra, we chant Om Bhur Bhuva Swa. The word Bhur refers to Bhumandala. Tat Savitur Varinyam. The sunshine spreads throughout Bhumandala. Therefore, the sun is worshipable. The stars, which are known as nakshatra, are not different suns, as modern astronomers suppose. From Bhagavad Gita 10:21, we understand that the stars are similar to the moon. Nakshakranam aham shashi. Like the moon, the stars reflect the sunshine. Apart from our modern distinguished estimations of where the planetary systems are located, we can understand that the sky and its various planets were studied long before Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled. Shukadev Goswami explained the location of the planets, and this indicates that the information was known long before Shukadev Goswami related it to Maharaja Parikshit. The location of the various planetary systems was not unknown to the sages who flourished in the Vedic age. Text number 2. My dear Lord, the rolling wheels of Maharaj Priyavrata's chariot created 7 ditches in which the 7 oceans came into existence. Because of these 7 oceans, Bhumandala is divided into 7 islands. You have given a very general description of their measurement, names, and characteristics. Now, I wish to know of them in detail. Kindly fulfill my desire. 3. When the mind is fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his external feature made of the material modes of nature, the gross universal form, it is brought into the platform of pure goodness. In that transcendental position, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva, who in his subtler form is self-effulgent and beyond the modes of nature. O my Lord, please describe vividly how that form which covers the entire universe is perceived. Purport. Maharaj Parikshit had already been advised by his spiritual master Shukadev Goswami to think of the universal form of the Lord, and therefore, following the advice of his spiritual master, he continuously thought of that form. The universal form is certainly material, but because everything is an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, ultimately nothing is material. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj's mind was saturated with spiritual consciousness. Srila Rupa Goswami has stated, Prapanchikataya bhudya harisambhantim vastuna mumukshabi parityago vairagyam palgukatyate. Everything, even that which is material, is connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur translates this verse as follows. Shri Hari Sevaya Jaha Hoy Anukul Vishaya Boliya Tage Hoy Bhul. One should not give up anything connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking it material or enjoyable for the material senses. Even the senses, when purified, are spiritual. When Maharaj Parikshit was thinking of the universal form of the Lord, his mind was certainly situated on the transcendental platform. Therefore, although he might not have had any reason To be concerned with detailed information of the universe, he was thinking of it in relationship with the Supreme Lord, and therefore such geographical knowledge was not material but transcendental. It's a key statement here. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.20, Narada Muni has said, Idam hi Vishwam Bhagavan Ivetaro. The entire universe is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although it appears different from him. Therefore, although Parikshit Maharaj had no need for geographical knowledge of this universe, that knowledge was also spiritual and transcendental because he was thinking of the entire universe as an expansion of the energy of the Lord. In our preaching work also, we deal with so much property and money and so many books bought and sold. But because these dealings all pertain to the Krishna consciousness movement, they should never be considered material. That one is absorbed in thoughts of such management does not mean that he is outside of Krishna consciousness. If one rigidly observes the regulative principle of chanting 16 rounds of the Mahamantra every day, his dealings with the material world for the sake of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement are not different from the spiritual cultivation of Krishna consciousness. 4. The great Rishi Shukadeva Goswami said, My dear king, there is no limit to the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's material energy. This material world is a transformation of the material qualities, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. Yet no one could possibly explain it perfectly, even in a lifetime as long as that of Brahma. No one in the material world is perfect, and an imperfect person could not describe this material universe accurately, even after continued speculation. O king, I shall nevertheless try to explain to you the principal regions, such as Bhuloka, with their names, forms, measurements, and various symptoms. Purport: the material world is only 1/4 of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's creation, but it is unlimited and impossible for anyone to know or describe, even with the qualification of a life as long as that of Brahma, who lives for millions and millions of years. Modern scientists and astronomers try to explain the cosmic situation and the vastness of space, but some of them believe that all the glittering stars are different suns. From Bhagavad Gita, however, we understand that all these stars, nakshatras, are like the moon, in that they reflect the sunshine. Bhagavad Gita 15:12. They are not independent luminaries. Bhuloka is explained to be that portion of outer space through which the heat and light of the sun extend. Therefore, it is natural to conclude that this universe extends in space as far as we can see and encompasses the glittering stars. Srila Shukadeva Goswami admitted that to give full details of this expansive material universe would be impossible, but nevertheless, he wanted to give the king as much knowledge as he had received through the Parampara system. We should conclude that if one cannot comprehend the material expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one certainly cannot estimate the expansiveness of the spiritual world. The Brahma Samhita 533 confirms this. Advaitam, Achutam, Anadim, Ananta Rupam, Adyam Purana Purusham Naviyovanam Cha. The limits of the expansions of Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, cannot be estimated by anyone, even a person as perfect as Brahma, not to speak of tiny scientists whose senses and instruments are all imperfect and who cannot give us information of even this one universe. We should therefore be satisfied with the information obtainable from Vedic sources as spoken by authorities like Shukadeva Goswami. What's going on?
Well, I had one thing, and then also, I don't know if Bhuvaneshwar was watching, but he sent a text about astronomy. I think he must be watching. He said, is the Earth round or flat?
Classic. Both.
You know, Sariputta has something to say about this. He says that there are bona fide Vedic scriptures which describe the universe as you look out into the sky to conform to what we see. And Bhagavatam when you look at it in the sky, you don't see exactly what it says here. But according to Jyotish Shastra and the Surya Siddhanta and other astronomical treatises in the Vedas, the planets are globes.
Well, that solves it then. Everyone will be happy from now on.
There you go. There's a way that he was beginning to, before he passed away, he was beginning to reconcile the two differences in very interesting ways. There's a series of lectures. There's 3 lectures that he gave in Philadelphia in 1986. If you want to look it up.
He wrote some essays on it too.
Huh?
He wrote some essays on it too.
Yeah, they're very interesting.
They're very multidimensional.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just wanted to say that I also was listening to Sadhguta's lectures, and it helped to me to recover from the brainwashing of, modern scientific paradigm. That how all the suns, all the planets, they're not actually luminaries, they're not suns. And he explained that there's actually even there's a name for it, even in the scientific community. This hole in their theory, I forgot what that's called. There's a name for that. Anyway, there's some hole in their theory, and it's a paradox. It's a paradox, and the paradox is that the light coming from the different luminaries should be illuminating the earth, even at the nighttime, because the light is still traveling. If they're suns, then the earth would also be illuminated during the night. There would be no night.
Yes.
Because light's traveling at light speed, and it's coming from hundreds of suns in the sky. So there should be light in the nighttime also. So.
And the scientists acknowledge this.
They acknowledge that this is a paradox. It hasn't been solved.
And Priyavata proved that too, because he made a second sun, and then it was light all the time. He did. Yes?
It's problem that many devotees, they do not have the proper scientific education, but it's problem that sometimes as devotees we do not have the proper scientific education, but we try to enter into scientific perspective of how things are, or generate scientifically valid arguments, which is childish. So requires really preparation to discuss something, get familiar with the methods, terminology and everything to be really to make it meaningful. So it's like everybody should be aware of his competence, and sometimes devotees, it's a little bit funny when they start discussing this flat earth, round earth from the perspective of child. Basically they do not have the proper background to and it's a little bit not too much serious. Just no offense to nobody, just wanted to mention this because it's quite obvious.
Okay, last point, because we got to move on.
It's also embarrassing when devotees take shelter of conspiracy theorists who themselves have no grounding in Bhagavad philosophy or sadhana. And it just makes everybody look really bad. Just want to put that out there because it's a real problem with the
Would
presentations.
you like to make an appeal for them to stop doing that?
Not that they'll listen to me, but yeah. Please stop doing that.
Hi, I'm Swami Prash. I urge you to please.
Stop taking shelter
For the love of God.
Please
of
give
conspiracy theorists who are not devotees in the name of preaching Bhagavad philosophy.
Thank you. I think they'll listen. That was very nicely done.
Thank you for considering that.
I personally will consider it. Last verse in my set. The planetary system known as Bhumandala resembles a lotus flower, and its 7 islands resemble the whorl of that flower. The length and breadth of the island known as Jambudvipa, which is situated in the middle of the whorl, are 1 million yojanas, 8 million miles. Jambudvipa is round like the leaf of a lotus flower. Take 6. Here we go. Leaping through the universe.
In Jambudvip, there are 9 divisions of land, each with a length of 9,000 yojanas, 72,000 miles. There are 8 mountains, that mark the boundaries of these divisions and separate them nicely. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the following quotation from the Vayu Purana, wherein the locations of the various mountains, beginning with the Himalayas, are described. Now, I'm not going to read all that. There's a large prose, Sanskrit prose, 7, text 7.
Want me to read it?
No. Translation, no offense intended. I know you can do it.
I mean, we
perfectly.
do, but just for the sake of time.
Yeah. Amidst these divisions or varshas is the varsha named Ilavrita, which is situated in the middle of the whorl of the lotus. Within Ilavrita varsha is Sumero mountain, which is made of gold. Sumero mountain is like the pericarp of the lotus-like Bhumandala planetary system. The mountain's height is the same as the width of Jambudvipa, or in other words, 100,000 yojanas, 800,000 miles. Of that, 16,000 yojanas, 128,000 miles, are within the earth, and therefore the mountain's height above the earth is 84,000 yojanas, 672,000 miles. The mountain's width is 32,000 yojanas, 256,000 miles at its summit, and 16,000 yojanas at its base. Text 8. Just north of Ilavrita Varsha, and going further northward, one after another, are 3 mountains named Nila, Shweta, and Shringavan. These mark the borders of the 3 varshas named Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, and Kuru, and separate them from one another. The width of these mountains is 2,000 yojanas, 16,000 miles. Lengthwise, they extend east and west to the beaches of the ocean of salt water. Going from south to north, the length of each mountain is 1/10 shorter than that of the previous mountain, but the height of them all is the same. Purport. In this regard, Madhvacharya quotes the following verses from the Brahmanda Purana. We'll skip the Sanskrit. It appears from these verses that aside from the sun and moon, there is an invisible planet named Rahu. The movements of Rahu cause both solar and lunar eclipses. We suggest that the modern expeditions attempting to reach the moon are mistakenly going to Rahu. Text 9. Similarly, south of Ilavrita Varsha, and extending from east to west, are 3 great mountains, named from north to south, Nishadha, Hemakuta, and Himalaya. Each of them is 10,000 yojanas, 80,000 miles high. They mark the boundaries of the 3 varshas named Harivarsha, Kimpurusha Varsha, and Bharati Varsha, India. Text 10. In the same way, west and east of Ilavrita Varsha are 2 great mountains named Malyavan and Gandhamadana, respectively. These 2 mountains, which are 2,000 yojanas, 16,000 miles high, extend as far as Nila Mountain in the north and Nishada in the south. They indicate the borders of Ilavrita Varsha and also the varshas known as Ketumala and Badrashva. Purport. There are so many mountains, even on this planet Earth. We do not think that the measurements of all of them have actually been calculated. While passing over the mountainous region from Mexico to Caracas, we actually saw so many mountains that we doubt whether their height, length, and breadth have been properly measured. Therefore, as indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam by Shukadeva Goswami, we should not try to comprehend the greater mountainous areas of the jungle, of the universe, merely by our calculations. Shukadeva Goswami has already stated that such calculations would be very difficult even if one had a duration of life like that of Brahma. We should simply be satisfied with the statements of authorities like Shukadeva Goswami and appreciate how the entire cosmic manifestation has been made possible by the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The measurements given herein, such as 10,000 yojanas or 100,000 yojanas, should be considered correct because they have been given by Shukadeva Goswami. Our experimental knowledge can neither verify nor disprove the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam. We should simply hear these statements from the authorities. If we can appreciate the extensive nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that will benefit us. Oh, sorry.
Text 11. On the four sides of the great mountain known as Sumeru are four mountains, Mandara, Meru Mandara, Suparshva, and Kumuda, which are like its belts. The length and height of these mountains are calculated to be 10,000 yojanas, 80,000 miles. Standing like flagstaffs on the summits of these four mountains are a mango tree, a rose apple tree, a kadamba tree, and a banyan tree. Those trees are calculated to have a width of 100 yojanas, 800 miles, and a height of 1,100 yojanas, 8,800 miles. Their branches also spread to a radius of 1,100 yojanas. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of the Bharati dynasty, between these four mountains are four huge lakes. The water of the first tastes just like milk, the water of the second like honey, and that of the third like sugarcane juice. The fourth lake is filled with pure water. The celestial beings, such as the Siddhas, Charnas, and Gandharvas, who are also known as demigods, enjoy the facilities of those four lakes. Consequently, they have the natural perfections of mystic yoga, such as the power to become smaller than the smallest, and greater than the greatest. There are also four celestial gardens named Nandana, Chaitraratha, Vaibrajaka, and Sarvatobhadra. It says they taste like those.
Yeah, it's water that tastes like
It's like the LaCroix. It has, flavored water, right? I mean, oftentimes I think of it as the very substance is there. But just saying here, it tastes like that.
It's not in the Sanskrit. You may be getting it from a different acharya.
The water of the first tastes just like milk. You see what I'm saying?
Water that tastes like milk. It's not milk.
Well, it doesn't say it's water. Oh, yeah, the water of the first place tastes like milk.
Water of the second, like honey.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Is it like water?
It will make
Water and
sense.
milk, I guess.
What?
It will make more sense like this.
Yeah.
Easy to understand.
That's the first time I ever heard it. The best of the demigods, along with their wives, who are like ornaments of heavenly beauty, meet together and enjoy within those gardens, while their glories are sung by lesser demigods known as Gandharvas. We'll just keep going.
Keep going.
On the lower slopes of Mandara mountain is a mango tree named Devachuta. It is 1,100 yojanas high. Mangoes as big as mountain peaks and as sweet as nectar fall from the top of this tree for the enjoyment of the denizens of heaven. Devachuta.
How big is it?
It's a mango tree named with a name. I think I'm going to start naming my trees. I didn't know you could do that. But now it's confirmed.
Maybe they'll grow big mangoes.
If you name the trees. On the lower slopes of Mandara mountain is a mango tree named Devachuta. It is 1,100 yojanas high. Mangoes as big as mountain peaks and as sweet as nectar fall from the top of this tree for the enjoyment of the denizens of heaven. Purport, in the Vayu Purana there is also a reference to this tree by great learned sages. Read it.
Paratninang Shudhanyashta Vekashashtyattikani Cha Palapramanam Akyatam Brushipis Tattvadarshipih.
17. When all those solid fruits fall from such a height, they break, and the sweet, fragrant juice within them flows out and becomes increasingly more fragrant as it mixes with other scents. That juice cascades from the mountain in waterfalls and becomes a river called Arunoda, which flows pleasantly through the eastern side of Ilavrita. The pious wives of the Yakshas act as personal maidservants to assist Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva. Because they drink the water of the river Arunoda, their bodies become fragrant. And as the air carries away that fragrance, it perfumes the entire atmosphere for 80 miles around. Similarly, the fruits of the jambu tree, which are full of pulp and have very small seeds, fall from a great height and break to pieces. Those fruits are the size of elephants, and the juice gliding from them becomes a river named Jambu Nadi. This river falls a distance of 10,000 yojanas from the summit of Meru Mandara to the southern side of Ilavrita and floods the entire land of Ilavrita with juice. Purport. We can only imagine how much juice there might be in a fruit that is the size of an elephant and has a very tiny seed. Naturally, the juice from the broken jambu fruits form waterfalls and floods the entire land of Ilavrita. That juice produces an immense quantity of gold, as will be explained in the next verses.
Text 20, 21. The mud on both banks of the river Jambu Nadi, being moistened by the flowing juice and then dried by the air and the sunshine, produces huge quantities of gold called Jambu Nada. The denizens of heaven use this gold for various kinds of ornaments. Therefore, all the inhabitants of the heavenly planets and their youthful wives are fully decorated with golden helmets, bangles, belts, and thus they enjoy life.
There's a place called Jamba Juice.
Jamba juice. That's
We
where they
should
got
start
that
one
from.
called Jambu Juice. We're not copying it. We got it right from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Purport.
It's our religion. Religious rights.
Free speech. Purport. By the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the rivers on some planets produce gold on their banks. The poor inhabitants of this earth, because of their incomplete knowledge, are captivated by a so-called Bhagavan, who can produce a small quantity of gold. We won't mention his name. However, it is understood that in the higher planetary system in this material world, the mud on the banks of the Jambu Nadi mixes with jambu juice, reacts with the sunshine and the air, and automatically produces huge quantities of gold. Thus the men and women are decorated there by various golden ornaments, and they look very nice. Unfortunately, on Earth, there is such a scarcity of gold that the governments of the world try to keep it in reserve and issue paper currency. Because that currency is not backed up by gold, the paper they distribute as money is worthless. But nevertheless, the people on Earth are very proud of material advancements. In modern times, girls and ladies have ornaments made of plastic instead of gold, and plastic utensils are used instead of golden ones. Yet people are very proud of their material wealth. Therefore, the people of this age are described as manda, sumanda matayo, manda bhagya upadutaha. In other words, they are extremely bad and slow to understand the opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They have been described as sumanda mataya because their conceptions are so crippled that they accept a bluffer who produces a little gold to be God. Because they have no gold in their possession, they are actually poverty-stricken, and therefore they are considered unfortunate. Sometimes these unfortunate people want to be promoted to the heavenly planets to achieve fortunate positions, as described in this verse. But pure devotees of the Lord are not at all interested in such opulence. Indeed, devotees sometimes compare the color of gold to that of bright golden stool. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed devotees not to be allured by golden ornaments and beautifully decorated women. Nadanam, najanam, nasundarim. A devotee should not be allured by gold, beautiful women, or the prestige of having many followers. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore confidently prayed, confidentially prayed, Mama Janmani Janmanishware Babadad Bhaktir Lahai Twayi. My Lord, please bless me with your devotional service. I do not want anything else. A devotee may pray to be delivered from this material world. That is his only aspiration. Ainandatanu jakinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam budau kripaya tapapada pankaja stitaduli sadrisham vachintaya. The humble devotee simply prays to the Lord, kindly pick me up from the material world, which is full of varieties of material opulence, and keep me under the shelter of your lotus feet. Srila Narottam Das Thakur prays, Haha Prabhunanda Sutta Vishaman Sutta Yuta Karuna Kada Hare Bhara Narottam Dasakaya Napaliha Rangapaya Tomavina Tiache Amara. O my Lord, O son of Nanda Maharaj, now you are standing before me with your consort, the daughter of Vrishabhanu, Srimati Radharani. Kindly accept me as the dust of your lotus feet. Please do not kick me away, for I have no other shelter. Similarly, Prabodhananda Saraswati indicates that the position of the demigods, who are decorated with golden helmets and other ornaments, is no better than a phantasmagoria, Tridashapur, Akasha Pushpayate. A devotee is never allured by such opulences. He simply aspires to become the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. Text 22.
Can I make really quick little note?
Quick note.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say that paradox, in case anybody is interested, it's called Jevon's paradox, about the different illuminating bodies.
You looked it up in the net?
No, I just had forgotten it. I had looked it up before.
You accessed your hard drive.
Yeah.
Spelling?
Jevons. Jevon's paradox.
Jevon's paradox means that although they say that the sun comes from each one of those bodies as directly as it comes from our sun, that each one of them is a sun, it's a paradox to them that the whole universe isn't illuminated the way it is with the sun.
Correct.
Is that, no?
Correct.
Not exactly.
Correct.
A case in point of what you were making, right? Okay, go ahead.
Translation. Is it in the same ballpark? Oh. Translation. On the side of Suparshva mountain stands a big tree called Mahakadamba, which is very celebrated. From the hollows of this tree flow 5 rivers of honey, each about 5 yamas wide. This flowing honey falls incessantly from the top of Suparshva mountain and flows all around Ilavrita beginning from the western side. Thus the whole land is saturated with pleasing fragrance. Purport. The distance between one hand and the other another, when one spreads both his arms, is called vyama. This comes to about 8 feet in some people. Thus each of the rivers was about 40 feet wide, making a total of about 200 feet. Text 23. The air carrying the scent from the mouths of those who drink that honey perfumes the land for 100 yojanas around. Similarly, on Komoda Mountain, there is a great banyan tree, which is called Shatavalsha, because it has 100 main branches. From those branches come many roots, from which many rivers are flowing. These rivers flow down from the top of the mountain to the northern side of Ilavitavarsh for the benefit of those who live there. Because of these flowing rivers, all the people have ample supplies of milk, yogurt, honey, clarified butter, ghee, molasses, food grains, clothes, beddings, sitting places, and ornaments. All the objects they desire are sufficiently supplied for their prosperity, and therefore they are very happy. Purport. The prosperity of humanity does not depend on a demoniac civilization that has no culture and no knowledge, but has only gigantic skyscrapers and huge automobiles always rushing down the highways. The products of nature are sufficient. When there is a profuse supply of milk, yogurt, honey, food, grains, ghee, molasses, dhotis, saris, bedding, sitting places, and ornaments, the residents are actually opulent. When a profuse supply of water from a river inundates the land, all these things can be produced, and there will not be scarcity. This all depends, however, on the performance of sacrifice, as described in the Vedic literature. Anadbhavanti bhutani parjanyan anasambhavaha jagyad bhavati parjanyo yagya karma samudbhavaha. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yagya, sacrifice, and yagya is born of prescribed duties. These are the prescriptions given in the Bhagavad Gita. If people follow these principles in full Krishna consciousness, human society will be prosperous, and they will be happy both in this life and in the next. 25. The residents of the material world who enjoy the products of these flowing rivers have no wrinkles on their bodies and no gray hair. They never feel fatigue, and perspiration does not give their bodies a bad odor. They are not afflicted by old age, disease, or untimely death. They do not suffer from chilly cold or scorching heat, nor do their bodies lose their luster. They all live very happily without anxieties until death. Purport. This verse hints at the perfection of human society, even within this material world. The miserable conditions of this material world can be corrected by a sufficient supply of milk, yogurt, honey, ghee, molasses, food grains, ornaments, bedding, sitting places, and so on. This is human civilization. Ample food grains can be produced through agricultural enterprises, and profuse supplies of milk, yogurt, and ghee can be arranged through cow protection. Abundant honey can be obtained if the forests are protected. Unfortunately, in modern civilization, men are busy killing the cows that are the source of yogurt, milk, and ghee. They are cutting down all the trees that supply honey, and they are opening factories to manufacture nuts, bolts, automobiles, and wine instead of engaging in agriculture. How can the people be happy? They must suffer from all the misery of materialism. Their bodies become wrinkled and gradually deteriorate until they become almost like dwarves, and a bad odor emanates from their bodies because of unclean perspiration resulting from eating all kinds of nasty things. This is not human civilization. If people actually want happiness in this life and want to prepare for the best in the next life, they must adopt a Vedic civilization. In a Vedic civilization, there is a full supply of all the necessities mentioned above.
By the way, it's Olber's paradox.
Oh.
Olber's paradox.
Olber's.
Olbers. In astrophysics is an economic theory. Olbers. In astrophysics and physical cosmology, Olbers' paradox, named after the German astronomer Heinrich Wilhelm Olbers, 1758 through 1840, also known as the dark night sky paradox, is the argument that the darkness of the night sky conflicts with the assumption of an infinite and eternal static universe. The darkness of the night sky is one of the pieces of evidence for a dynamic universe, such as the Big Bang model. In the hypothetical case that the universe is static, homogeneous at a large scale, and populated by an infinite number of stars, then any line of sight from Earth must end at the very bright surface of a star, and hence the night sky should be completely illuminated and very bright. This contradicts the observed darkness and non-uniformity of the night. Olber. Henrik William Olber.
So because it doesn't fit one model, they create another model for a Big Bang. It's like assumptions built on assumptions. It's a giant house of cards.
Correct.
Giant assumption. It's one giant.
So it's because it doesn't work, so they call it a paradox.
It's so funny. Just to mention that nowadays even the word universe is not anymore actually
Up to date.
Up to date at all. It's multiverse, at least, if not something even more difficult to grasp. So universe is like old school, like something like really limited. Multiverse.
This fits into some of Sariputa's developments of his. I mean, he left before he developed the thought, but one of his thoughts was that all these different varsas that we're hearing about, which are supposed to be part of one plate, which is called Bhumandala, and is supposed to be the earth, if you analyze the names of all those places, except for Bharatvarsha, the earth, they all have in the Bhagavatam and in other scriptures, it has a name attached to it that means heavenly. In other words, these are, and the descriptions of these things are describing celestial places. So except for the earth, those other places are celestial, and therefore they're not necessarily visible to us. So how that works is beyond our present physical figurines to understand.
One last note to make it's because we are trained to think of the universe generally as a big clock mechanism, which is even the modern science is pointing out that it's better understand the universe like a giant mind rather than mechanism. So this is
Giant
just in
what?
mind.
Mind.
So the universe is
Mind.
more like mind, like the quantum physics is showing that it's connected with consciousness quite much the universe. You cannot separate the potence. This kind of cutting edge, sophisticated things, but just keeping in mind that if somebody is limited, trained to think mechanically, he's like no chance to understand nothing. Yeah. I want to speak, even this is not perfect approach. Even this is too gross compared to the subtleties of the creation.
What to speak if you try to figure it out on Facebook?
Yeah.
If you hash it out on Facebook, try to figure it all out.
Not likely.
And this was right from the beginning of this canto. The statement was, even if you had the life of Brahma, you couldn't figure this out. You couldn't understand it.
Yeah, it was one.
I'm only going to explain just a little tiny bit of it.
That's the first thing Srila Goswami says.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's infinite.
That's what I said.
Demigods are confused, everybody's confused.
Yeah.
Scientists want to-
Muhyati Yatsuraya.
Huh?
The scientists demand to be taken seriously as an authority, despite the fact that they know that the theories are changing every 5 seconds.
And Prabhupada is saying that to understand the creation, you need first thing to do is to accept the Achintya Shakti of the Lord. Achintya means exactly with this size of brain, and like Kali Yuga, not likely to grasp the whole thing perfectly.
Facebook is like a
Okay.
subtle realm.
Subtle realm. Facebook is a subtle realm.
I noticed something in our previous readings, maybe in a previous chapter somewhere, it was mentioning that that the material world is inconceivable to the conditioned soul. And I thought that was interesting because I remember reading that it's also come up that the material world is not actually inconceivable, but it's inconceivable to the conditioned soul. So I thought that was interesting.
Gopi Puranadana Prabhu explains this from the Shastra. He says that the word inconceivable in Sanskrit doesn't mean that you can't understand anything about it. It means actually that no one can understand everything about it. That's what inconceivable means. You can understand enough about it so that you can want to go back to God and go back to God, even though it's inconceivable. So it's not that inconceivable means you can't understand anything about it, and therefore why even look at it? And that's the illusion.
Just interesting point for meditation, Bhagavatam 4:29-69, if I'm not mistaken, where it is said that the pure devotees, they perceive the world, the universe, exactly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead perceives it. And there are some other things said there, but just nice point to meditate.
Expand the consciousness.
Not like the demigods, not like the turtles, or not like, I don't know, something, but like exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is, there's some steps to.
Did you find it?
Correct, 429.69.
429.69, and the exact quote is?
Translation: Krishna consciousness means constantly associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a mental state that the devotee can observe the cosmic manifestation exactly as the Supreme Personality of God does. Such observation is not always possible, but it becomes manifest exactly like the dark planet known as Rahu, which is observed in the presence of the full moon. That's the verse.
Can you read that verse again, please?
Krishna consciousness means constantly associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a mental state that the devotee can observe the cosmic manifestation exactly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead does. Such observation is not always possible, but it becomes manifest exactly like the dark planet known as Rahu, which is observed in the presence of the full moon.
And thus ends the morning reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the matter of the fifth canto and the universe and inconceivability and Olber's paradox, etc. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us here in the live studios of Govardhan. And for everyone who's joined us online from all around the world, we feel your presence, and we're very glad that you've tuned in. We look forward to seeing you later today at 3:30 p.m. India Standard Time for the continued reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you very much. Go Premanande. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Vanchakalptaruscha kripasanabhevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, hey, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman.